Hi everyone, welcome back to my channel, The Signature Educations. Okay, in this video, let's study together about the IELTS speaking. Well, if you are planning to take the IELTS speaking test, it is very important to practice before you take the test. But sometimes it is very difficult when we don't have any partner to learn how to improve our speaking ability, because particularly when we take the IELTS speaking test, it is based on our experience, not because of we practice. So in my experience, when I get the IELTS result, since my speaking is the highest score compared to the other band, so I always practice together with my friends, not only practicing about the questions, but also we have English conversations every day. So in this video, I'd like to ask you if you want to study with me about the speaking. Well, before we practice, I take this document from IELTS Cambridge 15. Yeah, IELTS Cambridge 15, and there are three parts of the IELTS speaking. Well, if it is your first time about learning about the speaking test, I will explain first. In the speaking, there are three main parts of the test. So the first one is about part one. So the part one, they will be asking you about your simple questions about color, about work, about study, about anything, especially is very simple way. And then in the part two, they will ask you about some small presentation. So you are required to present for about 2 minutes to about some topic which is given by the examiner. So they will give you some cue card which contains about these questions like this. And then after that, there will be this part 3. So in part 3, they will ask you a very long questions and very long answers. So they want to see your structures, your fluency, your grammar, and anything that is related to the IELTS speaking. Well, so let's start. Study with me how to answer the English speaking IELTS speaking part 1. Well, when you go to the room of the test, the first thing they will ask your documents such as your ID, your identification, your passport. But usually they will ask the document, the ID that is similar with that when you are uploading online. Right. So first, the examiner will ask about yourself, your home, your work, studies, or other familiar topic. So for example, here in the IELTS speaking 15, they will ask you about the people you study or work with. So let's just about the work. Yeah. Number one, who do you spend most time working with? Why? So in these questions, they will ask you about the persons that you always spend your times to work with that person. So you can answer like this. I work as a lecturer in the university, so mostly I work with someone who has the same age with me. So he is Danny. I don't know why, but my boss always assign me and Danny to work together. Right, so that's enough. The simple way to answer the speaking part once each questions. So let's go to the number 2. What kind of things do you work on with other people? So in this question we can answer like this. Well, based on my own experience, usually the boss give us some work about the document. For example, filling the application form, or creating some lesson plan, or asking me to teach on his class. So that sort of things that I work together with other people, because in the university we require to work in collaborations for teaching the students in the classroom. Okay, that's all. So In these questions, in the second questions, usually they ask the persons who work with other people. Let's go to the number 3. Are there times when you better by yourself, when you work better by yourself? So in the third questions, they would like to ask, do we have a time when we need to work really alone? We don't need other people to collaborate with, right? So in these questions, I will ask like this. Absolutely, yes. There are several work that I don't need other people to work in collaborations. For example, when I have assigned to work in writing a research proposals or writing some academic papers, some journals, I need to think and read some article which is related to my work. So I just go to the library to read some book, read some article and newspaper, and then go to my laptop and work it by myself. Okay, it is important that if you are asked about the time when you were study or work better by yourself, so don't forget to give some example, only one. So based on my answer, I give some example about some writing some papers, writing research proposals. So that's the examples where I work better by myself. Okay, let's go to the final questions in the part 1. It is important to like the people you study or you work with. Okay, why and why not? Okay, right. In these questions, I will answer yes, because when I work in my departments, we only have 16 people, and I just thinking that all of them are my family at my work or at my office. So it is very important to like the people. If we have some conflict with them, so that will be dangerous. That will be they will make us not feeling comfortable when we come to the office. Okay, right. So in this type of the questions, they ask us about the importance of we work in collaboration with. Okay. Okay, so that's all about speaking part 1. So let's move to the speaking part 2. Okay, as I mentioned earlier that the speaking part 2, they will give us some cue card. So the cue card is like this. Describe tourist attractions you enjoyed visiting. So it means that we are required to share our experience about the tourist attractions. And there are 3 questions. The first one is what this tourist attraction is, and then we absolutely should mention about the name of the tourist attractions. For example, the mountains, the beach, or the time zones, or what other things that makes you really attractions. The museum, for example, or the gardens. That's up to you. And the second one, when and why you visited it. When and why you visited it. So this they ask about the time and also the reasons why we visited that place. And the next one's what you did there. So it means that they ask us about some activities that we have done in that places. And finally, explain why you enjoy visiting these tourist attractions. So here is my advice to answer these questions. So in speaking part 2, we just given the time for approximately a couple of minutes. So please make sure that we use the amount of time. So don't stop before they stop us. And also the second thing is that we should make sure that we address all the questions, right? So if you just mentioned, if you forgot to answer number 1 or number 2, so just come back and then answer the questions again. Right. So because when we stop speaking before 2 minutes, it means that we don't have any ability to speak in a long time. Right. And then before we answer, we give 1 minute to prepare the questions, the answer, I mean. Right, so it will be a blank page and then some pencil or pens to prepare that speaking part 2. Well, here we go. This is my example of answering the questions. Right here, the tourist attraction enjoyed visiting. This is my notes. For example, number one is what the question is what this tourist attraction is. So we don't need to write down all the questions because we still remember. So just write what. Okay, and then the answer is only one word, just to remind us the answer. So just one word. So I write it beach because I will importance that the tourist attractions that I really enjoy is the beach. Then the second one is why we visited that place, right? Please remember that there are two questions, when and why. So when I said when, I mentioned last month, even though sometimes I didn't go there, but we should answer and address the questions. If you don't have any experience, you can make up the stories. That will be fine because the examiner just would like to examine the way we speak, yeah. And then the third one is why. Why you visited this? Okay, I just want to play the banana boat, sunbathing, and play with friends. Okay, what did? So this means this the activity that we have done there. And then most of the time I spend traveling and swimming with my friends. So I mentioned two words of that. Alright, so before you answer that questions, you need to answer at least one word to in each questions. And then finally, why you enjoy visiting this tourist attraction? And this is a very important question. So you need to mention at least 3 or 4 words because you can explain it in lots of time. So the way we answer these questions is you can answer all the questions. I mean, this first 3 questions with only 1 minute, and the next one is you can answer all the questions in the rest of the time. Okay, so here we go. I'd like to answer the questions about the tourist attractions. Well, talking about the tourist attractions for people, especially in Indonesia, that I really enjoy visiting is that I'd like to describe the beach. In my personal opinion, beach plays an important thing in my life because when I see the beach, the sea, I feel that I really enjoy, and then I can refresh not only my eyes but also my brain also. If I'm not mistaken, last month I was visited the beach which is located in Bali. Well, it took several hours from here, from my home, because I live in Bekasi in Java Islands, but Bali is different island with the Java. I took Bali for my vacations because in Bali there are lots of activities over there. So, for example, there are banana boats. We can do sunbathing, and also I can go there with friends. So my friends also asked me to visit the Bali. So this is very interesting. And there were some activities that I've enjoyed visiting in the Bali. So if I'm not mistaken, I was swimming over there for almost 1 day. It is very important and it is very interesting for me and my friends. We spend time together for that. And also, the main reason why I really enjoy visiting the Bali is that number one is the most popular. I can take a lot of picture of there with my friends in some of the famous places in Bali. So, for example, there is some statue over there which is very famous. I forgot the name. Garuda Wisnu Kencana. Yes, the name is the Garuda Wisnu Kencana, and I really enjoy taking a picture over there. Also, the ticket for going to Bali from Jakarta is very cheap, so I really enjoy. Okay, stop. Okay, so based on the timer, I read down the timer. So the time is enough 2 minutes. So basically 2 minutes is very short. So the most important thing is that we need to practice. Yeah, we need to practice when we learn about the IELTS. Okay, so let's move to the part 3. Well, in part 3, the question is very long. So usually the topic or the discussion topic in part 3 are really related to the speaking part 2. So please make sure that if you get the topic about the tourist attraction, so you will get the topic about the tourist attraction as well in the part 3. Well, in part three, you should mention, you should address the question is difference with the speaking part ones, because in part three, you are required to answer in a very long answer. So, for example, number one, what are the most popular tourist attractions in your country? Okay, so you can answer like this. In my personal opinions, based on the news, one of the most popular tourist attraction is beach, as I mentioned in the speaking part too. So Bali plays an important role to become the tourist attractions. In Bali, there are lots of tourists coming from other countries, UK, Australia, United States, or even some European countries. So it not only attract Indonesian citizens, but also it attracts the people from other countries as well. Okay, so that's my answer. So when they ask about the most popular, so we need to give the data. We need to give the example. So I answered that the tourists not only coming from Indonesian or local people, but also they come from other countries as well. Okay, how do the types of tourist attraction that how do the types of tourist attraction that younger people like to visit compare with those that older people like to visit? Okay, so this is a very common question. So they want to compare and contrast some of the answer based on the age. So don't surprise that you will get this type of the questions. Okay, let's try to answer. In my personal opinions, there are the difference between people in the younger age and people with older people who really like to visit about the tourist attractions. The younger people would like to visit the place which are really make the adrenaline high. So, for example, visiting the mountains, walking, or some other things that requires lots of energy. Compared to the older people, they just want to like sitting and see the things that make really interest them. So, for example, although the younger people like to visit the mountains, for example, such as Bromo or some other mountain, the older people just want to see the garden or the beach. They just want to sit and enjoy the place, looking around and some other things. So it can be concluded that the place for young people is different with the place with the older people. Right. So, based on my answer before, so we need to mention about the place, the different place that younger people like compared to the older people. So don't forget, you should do that. Final questions. Do you agree that some tourist attractions such as National Museum or gallery should be free to visit? Okay. So since this question is do you agree or not, so you should mention so that if you are agree, so why? If you disagree, why? But it is better to make the both opinions. Okay. Why you agree and why you disagree? Okay. Okay. Let's try. In my personal opinions, I disagree that the tourist attractions such as the museum should be free to visit. Why? Because the tourist attractions, the museum, they need some money for cleaning, for paying people who work there, and for to make people responsible when they visit some places. So, for example, in Indonesia, in Jakarta, for instance, there are some places which are very free. So when the place is free, everyone can come and go. So when there is someone who are not responsible, they are making it dirty, they're throwing the rubbish everywhere, and there is no one care who are responsible about this. So that's why when there is some entrance fee, so the entrance fee for the persons who are responsible for the cleaning or for making these tourist attractions to be good again. For example, in Subang City there is De Castello. So the ticket price is very cheap, only 30,000 rupiah, and based on that ticket they can pay some people who work there. Okay. And then, so based on my answer, National Museum Gallery, we should address, yeah, we should address that questions and give the example why we disagree. Okay. Well, let's go to the next questions about the importance of international tourism. Okay. The first question: why is tourism important to a country? This question is very difficult, but we should answer and based on the example. Okay, in my personal opinions, tourists play important thing in the country. Uh, when there are people from other countries visiting our countries to visit the tourism place, they will pay for a visa. So, for example, in Indonesia, we have a Bromo, we have Borobudur Temple, and that's one of the make tourists that's attract tourists from some other countries. So the people from Australia, from Japan, when they want to visit Indonesia, they need to apply a visa, and they should pay. And when they pay for the visa, it will add some income from the country for the country. Yes, so there will be the new revenue, which can be used by the government to rebuild or to clean or to recreate that or to add some other tourism places. So in conclusions, the tourism plays an important role for the country to add some income. Okay, so the first questions. And then the second questions, what are the benefits to individual or visiting another country as a tourist? Okay, so because they ask about the reason, so we should mention at least 2 or 3 reasons. We can say there are several benefits for individual when they visit another country. The first is they will learn the new cultures, and the second one, they will try the food which are different from them. When they learn about the culture, for example, I ever been visiting Thailand. So in Thailand, I can learn some the new culture such as Songkran festival. So the Songkran is the people praise to the god about when the water is coming, right? So people are playing the water everywhere, right? So the number one is the second one is the language, to learn the new language. Well, when my first language is Indonesian, so when I come to other countries such as Germans and French, not only enjoying the tourism place, but also I can learn the new language. At least I can say thank you. Okay. And then the final question: how necessary is it for tourists to learn the language of the country they are visiting? Okay, so we focus about the language. In my personal opinions, language plays an important role. So at least we need to understand the basic language. So for example, if you want to go to the marketplace, you want to buy something, if we don't understand about the local language, they will charge us with a very high amount of money. Why? Because they understand that we are coming from other countries. So these are the most important thing that we need to understand about the language that when we are visiting another country. Okay, so that's all. Please accept that this is my versions of the learning IELTS. Maybe you agree or disagree with my speaking ability, with my answer. But if you have other comments, if you, for example, have different answer with my answer, so you can drop your comment below, and we learn together about the speaking. Okay, thank you very much. Bye bye.